the first marking up video. So we've got our bit of wood to make a little car. So this is the marking up stage. This is going to be our baseboard. So we're going to be doing some marks on it to cut out for bits and pieces. So our first one is going to mark up wheel hubs. So I'm going to mark 20mm or 2 centimeters there and there. I'm going to do that twice so we can get a good straight line. We're going to turn that around like that. Then we're going to mark up 40mm or 20 or 4 centimeters there like that. Then we can use the square edge of the ruler to then like that. We're going to do that for all 4 of our corners. We're going to do some pencil because pen bleeds into the wood and it's easier to fix. Okay, so now we've got our corners all marked up, so we're going to cut those out because that's where our wheel's going to sit. And now we're going to be doing the slot for where the car starts. So we're going to measure that halfway up to 5 centimeters or 50mm. Again, to mark in 2 places. We're going to mark it up 6.5 centimeters or 65mm. And then because we need about a centimeter wide or 10mm, we're going to mark 5mm or 0.5 half a centimeter each side. And then when we cut this out, this will give us a slot wide enough to fit our drive wheel in. And then that's all done, and we stick our name on it. Demo done. Okay, right, so we've got our marking up now. So this is a scroll saw. We're going to cut it out, so safety tip, don't shove your finger in front of the blade. Life is good. And then we're going to put it out, and then we're going to cut it out. So we're going to cut like that, so put it on the blade there, hold it down like that. So that's all our corners cut out. Then we're going to cut out the centre. We're going to do the 2 outside ones first. We're going to back it up. Okay, so now we're going to do is going to cut a little curve along there. And I'll put a little curve in like so. Okay, from there, so you turn it, go into the corner. That pops out like that. Spin it around. And cut across, and then voila, we have our cut out base. Yeah, right, cool. Right, so when we're making big holes, we're going to use 12mm plywood. Okay, it's slightly thicker, so we want some bigger head wheels, and we're using a 51mm hole saw. Okay, so again, we've got it clamped down from the wood to the wood to the metal using our G-clamp. So give it the wiggle test so it's all nice and safe. Okay, this is a bigger one, so we're going to go a bit slower. Okay, because otherwise it'll jam. Okay, so we're cutting quite nicely there. If you get pushed too hard, it will stop and then it won't go. So nice steady pace. It's cutting through quite nicely. Check it once in a while. So it's through here, the crunch noise. Okay, then we poke our right up to there, so we're getting good leverage. And then we're just going to push out. And then voila, we've got our wheel. I'm going to need 2 of these. Okay, right, so this is demo 3. Welcome to making the wheels. So we're going to need 3 of these small ones. These are 2mm hole saws. We're using 7mm plywood as our front wheels. So it's going to form our 2 front wheels. And one of them we're going to convert into a drive wheel. Okay, so we've clamped it down from the wood to the metal base. We're using a G-clamp so it's all nice and safe. Again, if you've got long hair, please make sure it is tied back. Okay, so on there we do. So we've got fairly thin wood, so we come through reasonably quick with this one. Just going to come in. Just nice steady speed. Rule of thumb, the bigger your drill, the slower you go. So you should hear it crunch through. That's it done. We'll turn it off. Then we're going to get 2 pairs of scissors. These are nice and thin, and they actually work really well for getting your piece of wood out. Okay, and you'll just lever it up, pops out, and it comes out like that. We will be drilling a bigger hole through here later on, but we're just going to sand that with a bit of sandpaper. Yeah. Okay, right, so welcome to demo 5. Okay, so here we're going to cut the bumpers. So this is going to be a 6cm piece of 12mm ply, and we're going to have 2 2cm pieces, and they're eventually going to be where our spoiler poles are going to go, and our spoiler is going to sit on there. Okay. So we've got our piece of 20mm wide by 12mm plywood, and we're going to mark 6cm or 60mm, and then we're going to use a square, put it up against there, and that will give us a nice straight line. Okay. Then we get our tenon saw. Okay. And we're going to cut it on the outside of this line, because if we cut on the inside, we're going to make it too small. Okay. So we do a couple of draw cuts, like that, and then we'll saw it, like that. You can clean that with a bit of sandpaper just to make it all pro. Okay, and then our next cut, you can do this on the bench, we just do it here because it's just a bit easier to see what's going on. Okay, then you're going to mark a 20mm piece here, and square devil pro. Okay, and then we're going to put a couple of little cross on here, because that is where we will then drill out 6mm hole for our. Okay, yeah, let's put it off. Then we get our saw again, and then we saw it up. And we will make 2 of these pieces. So we're going to file down 3 layers here, because we want to make sure that our bumper is got a bit of a curve on it, because it looks cooler. So this plywood we're going to file down 3 levels, and then we're going to park it to about 5mm from the back there. So you can do half in time, like that. You put on the vise like that. And then we get a big rough file, and we're going to file it like that. So here's my other half. Done. And you flip it over the other side. Just that slightly. Okay, right, cool. Okay, right, so now what we've got to do is we've done our thing. We've put it in a drill vise, so put it in the little ledge there, so it's all nice and flat. And we'll drill nice and straight. So this is a 6mm drill, so again make sure we've got our goggles on. We're going to line up all pro, like that. Then we turn our drill on. And then we drill our hole straight through like that. And then we make 2 of these. Done. Okay, right, so guys, so welcome to next demo. This is going to be assembling the base. Okay, this is demo 6. So then we're going to then put all this on here like this. And then we're going to put these up in here. Okay. Now the big thing with these is to make sure that our holes are lining up. Okay, because if we don't, then our spoiler holes are going to be all crooked. Okay, so that's no good. So I'm going to use some PVA glue. Use a little bit of PVA glue, not too much. You've got PVA glue, don't stick to you, so just like that. Squish it in like that. Just a little bit of glue. Yep. Stick it like that. Again, just be fussy on your lining up because it can kind of haunt us later. And then, because PVA takes a long time to dry, we're going to then put a bit of sellotape there just to hold it into place so that it doesn't move on us while we're drying. Otherwise, once it dries, it is very hard to fix. Set that aside to dry. Okay, right, so welcome to now making our axle demo. So we're going to bend this and fold this, so we're going to do this in a couple of parts. So we've made up 2 templates. This is going to be our back template, this is going to be our front template. So we're going to get a vivid, and it's a sheet of aluminium, and we're just going to mark it around there, so we're going to trace around there. It's nice and easy to do. Like that. Cool. Okay, so there's our 2 templates done. Now we're going to cut them out. There's an easy way and a hard way. The easy way, because metal doesn't bend that well, so we're just going to cut it on the outside of it, in this case the black line. So you can't cut round like corners like cardboard because metal doesn't do that. Alright, so we got our first shape there. Yep. Then we're going to then cut along the bone there. The reason why I'm cutting on the outside of the black lines is because we know that the inside of the black lines is accurate. Cut our little corners like that. Cut our thing there. This is 0.9 aluminium, so it's fairly strong enough, but still very light. Because then they want to keep the weight down on our cars. Cool. Then we're going to check our bits there. That. Then we want to cut this on the outside of the line here because we want to make sure that this gap here is about 1 centimetre wide. Okay. Now normally you get a pair of long nose pliers, okay, like that, and then the idea is just wiggle, so I'll go get the long nose pliers. Okay. You get long nose pliers there, and you put them up like that, and you wiggle them up like that, and that then slips it out, and that gives us a nice clean cut. And we do the other one, like this. Okay, we're cutting here. Like that. Cutting all corners. So this is going to be our, once we bend and fold this, this is going to be the bits for here. Like that. So then, once we've got all those, there's our basic shapes. So then what we're going to do then is we're going to mark in some holes for our drilling, which we're going to drill a lemon hole through. So we're going to do that from the inside of the line there. So it's going to be 1.5 centimetres. We'll do that with actually our black pen, because the vivid can be a little bit wide. So we make a big long dash there, like that. And then we along there like that, and so where they cross over, that is where we're going to do it. So that's 1.5 by 1.5, and inside that line. This gives us a nice accurate cut. Right. Do it from the back again. And do this nice and accurately, because if it's even 0.5 millimetre off, it will not work. The front template is done with 1 centimetre, 1.5 centimetres. Okay. Well, and then 1.5 there, because these are going to have smaller front wheels on them as we cut them in there. So, yep. There. It's going to be 1.5 centimetres. Okay, then, because if we try to drill these now, the metal's going to slide around, so we're going to give them a hammer. So we're going to need to centre punch these, like that, bang like that, like so. Okay. And that goes, and that sets us all ready for drying. Right, filming. Okay, so we've got our things here. This is a lemon mill drill bit, so we're going to clamp this down, and we're going to drill 2 holes, and we're going to drill holes in this. Okay. So again, make sure this is all very accurately lined up. Okay, so make sure it's going to sit like that. And clamp it up like that. It's moved on us. So really make sure that that doesn't. Sometimes it's easier if you get somebody to help you line things up. That's good. Double check your measurements. Yep, that's fine. Then we turn it on. Make sure you've got goggles on, because the middle of the eye is not cool. That spins off. Push it through. It says 1 done. So that's why you're wearing goggles, because you do not want that in your eye. Okay, that's 1 done. And you spin it around. Again, line up all pro. Check your measurements. Okay. We'll drill that there again. Oh, done. Okay, so that's our back template holes done. So again, we repeat the process with our front templates. Same process, slightly different marks, but the same ideas. Okay. Yeah. Spin it around. Yeah. Pick it up. Get the wiggle test, make sure it's all firm. Okay, so that's now our 2 holes done. Now we're going to do some folding on it, so we're going to move over to this vise here. Right. So now we're going to fold it. So we've got a pen, and we're going to mark from the top of each hole 1/2 centimetre or 5 millimetres. Okay, again, you need to be very accurate with this, because otherwise you will not get an even bend. Do that and make a nice straight line. If you've done this right, they should be pretty closely lining up with that. Like that. 5mm. Okay, and then same with this one. This is again 5mm. Okay, so we've got our lines at 5mm respectively. Now, I'm going to be very carefully folding these ones. The front ones are quite easy. We just line it just on the line there, being fussy. And then we're going to bend like that. We give a light tap with the hammer, so we get a nice sharp crease, and we should get a good result there. Flip it round. There, push it down, tap it in, and voila, we've got. You might want to put a piece of dowel through there to see if it's even. So if we take that off, that'll do quite nice as a test. So the idea is we put a piece of rod there or a pen. As you can see, they're sitting nice and even. Okay, if they're doing something like that, we'll need to rebend, or if they're doing something like that, we'll need to refocus. Okay, so put this one through. Hold it over. Flat. Spin it round. Done. Now last bit here, because we've got a bit flippy here, we're going to put a bend in here. This will give it more strength, so about 5mm in. Let's put it back with the thumbs, and that gives us a cool spoiler look. Okay. At this point, then also we can just take all this green stuff off, blue plastic off, because this has the advantage that it takes all our marking and all most of it away and gives us a nice shiny finish. Same here with the smaller one. And we're going to do a bit more modification to that, but we'll do that in a later demo. Okay, this one's quite easy. So what we're going to do there is we're going to mark 2 holes there, and then one in the corners. Then we're going to get the centre punch with the hammer again, and we're just going to do 2 dents like that. Like that. Then we're going to get the drills. And then we're using a 3.3 drill, and then we're going to put a hole there. There, so it's 2 holes like that, and then same deal with that. that will then allow us to screw on onto our main frame. Okay, right, in this demo we're going to now take our axles, so we've just put the two main wheels on. We'll put the little middle wheel on later on in a separate demo, and then we're going to basically screw them on like so. Okay, so to do this, you line everything up. Okay, now the big thing here is to make sure that your axles, especially on the back wheels, are running parallel to your body, so they're running nice and straight. Otherwise, if you do something like that, it will then cause, when we put the rubber band through, it will cause it to detrack and fall off and it won't work. Okay? So you're going to be very paranoid when you're lining up. So through a hole like that. That looks pretty good. Okay. Then I get a pencil or a pen and I just dot them like that. Then I do my front ones like that. Like that. Then we take those off. Then we get a drill with a 2mm nail in it, or 2mm drill bit for your flash. Drill some holes. We've got a little drilling board underneath it so we don't drill holes in our bench. Okay. Then you just simply reattach your, put over your axles like that. Then you're going to get a Phillips number 1 screwdriver, some 12mm screws. So, try again. And we just screw that down, push and turn. Like that. Second one in, I'll just do 2. That seems to have moved off. Okay, then we'll probably put one in there like that. So, okay. So then you put the other ones in like that, and then you end up with your product like that. Demo, we're going to then get a little triangle file, and we're going to then groove a groove through here. So the rubber band has to eventually, also not this one, has to sit in this groove here, okay? So it's all got to sit right, okay? So to do that, we get a very good wheel, so doing here, it's going to be all nice, so no dents. Now there's 3 layers of plywood, so we're going to put a triangle file groove right in the middle groove there, okay? And it's going to go all around the wheel. That's going to be turning when our motor comes in, okay? So just a light tension there, then you get your triangle file like that, and you make it so it's the full width of the middle layer of plywood, okay? And then you start rolling it round. It's going to be probably about a middle or 2 deep, okay? So you want to make sure that the rubber band does not detrack, okay? Then you just move it around, do a little bit more. Just keep going right round like that until you've done the entire wheel. Okay, right, so this one here, we're going to now put the centre wheel onto our thing so we can put it in our car. So usually these are quite stiff because we've put a drilled 10mm hole through here, and this is a 10mm down, and it's meant to be a tight fit. So we want to make sure this is locked on here, otherwise if it's too loose it just spins and our motor won't work. So these are quite tight, so this one's actually been loosened up a fair bit, so they're usually a lot tighter. So you'll usually get a pair of pliers, you just tap it on there gently, like that, and that helps spread the load. Just tap it up and down a couple of times usually. So one there, spin it around like that, and tap it down. So those, it should turn reasonably freely. This one's been done a few times, so it's fairly loose. Now when you come then to mount it onto your car, you then put it through here like this. Then you make sure that this is long enough so it's all nice and spinning. So you can see it's all spinning quite freely. Now at this point we put a rubber band on here for later on because we're going to adjust the all tensioning. There we go. That goes through there and we can sort that out later on. And you just push and turn it. That through the holes. This one's also got your groove in here. And that'll be done for our drives. And then make sure it's all spinning right. Loosen that up a bit. It's all spinning quite nice, and then you can then give it a roll test. So it should end up, see this one's here's got the groove in it, and that one's all then ready to have the motor mounted. All good. Okay. Alright, so we're going to do soldering a basic circuit together. So this is, we use a motor, 3-prong switch, and a battery snap, and another piece of wire to make our circuit. So this is like your basic circuit. Obviously we're using a 9-volt battery to test it, okay, and all that kind of stuff. So, right, so first thing on our soldering iron, this part's nice and safe to touch. This part gets very hot, and it's obviously there, so we never touch that, otherwise you get a good blister burn. As you see, it can melt solder, okay, so we don't touch that part. Also make sure always goes back in the handle, because you can cut through the insulation with the melting, and that can wreck your soldering iron and or give you electric shock, which is bad. Okay, so always be safe. Right, so basic circuit is this. We're going to put our black wire to one of our motor terminals. Now because our project can mount our engine on either side, it doesn't matter so much which way it spins, but if it does, always soft wire both your wires first and then find out which way it's spinning. So if your project needs to spin a certain way, then make sure you've tested it first. Okay, this is a bit of solder. This is a lead tin alloy, and we're just going to connect up that joint there. So this is basically melting metal. Okay, so we're just doing that. Sometimes you can tin them if you want, but because we've got nice fresh wire, we probably don't need to. Okay, so that's our first joint there. And our next joint, the other end of the battery snap, goes to one of the outer prongs, because it's got to go to one to the outside and then one to the middle. Okay, and that will then make our switch work on this particular setup. Okay, so it goes through there. So we twist the wire there like that. Okay, now we've stripped it 1 centimeter, which I'll show you how to do in a second. So put through the holes. Now make sure it's only the metal part going through and not your insulation, because insulation obviously doesn't conduct the electricity, and then that means our circuit doesn't work. Okay, so we've just got the metal bits going through. Okay, so we put a bit of solder on there just to lock it in place, and you just put a little bit on. Yeah, and then on the other side, make sure it goes through both your connectors, otherwise the chance it doesn't work. That's the chance. Okay, so we've got our first two done there, like that. And then we're going to use some wire strippers. These are wire strippers, so obviously the different size holes for different wires. These are very thin, so we're just going to strip the top ones, and we put there like that. And pull and twist. And then we want to then twist it so that it's easy to poke through and do soldering with. Yep. And because it's a fresh wire, I don't really need to tin it. Now, then we're going to put that through here like that. And just bend it over a bit so it helps hold it in place. Like so. Yep. Okay, up there. Okay. Just clean that ball up there. Won't matter actually that much again. So clean that later on. So that's all locked on. So as you can see, we've gone through both the connectors like that, and that one's our spare one. So in the position that goes there, that will be the on position, so it's the two connected, and that will be our off position because that one's not got any wire on it. So to hook up the final circuit, then we put the last red wire up through our engine terminal, we twist around like that, and we get our solder, and we just lock it on with our soldering. So, beautiful. Now we're going to test it, make sure it's right. So it's a 9-volt battery. Then you put your big to your small. And we fire it up. That's going good. Turn it off. On again, that's going good. Now we need to mark the direction of the motor, so you put the field on that so it's spinning that way in this case. So we get a little whiteboard marker or vivid. And then we just mark our arrow. That is important because when it faces the front of the car, we want to make sure our arrow is facing the front of our car so that we can then, our car will go forward, not backwards. Okay guys, so here we're going to start making our spoiler for our car. So we've marked 3.5 centimeters or 35 millimeters by 65 millimeters or 6.5 centimeters. You can go a little bit bigger if you want. Okay, this is just like a standard size. You can't go much smaller, otherwise it won't fit on your poles. Okay, which will cut soon. Okay. So I'm going to keep like this. Now, big safety tip, it's a bit like a sewing machine. As long as your fingers are out of the way, that's fine. If you put your fingers there, it's going to engage. So as long as your fingers are clear, you're fine. Put some safety goggles on. Cut on that line. Back it up, spin it round. Okay, so we've cut our piece of perspex, so we're using acrylic plastic, 3mm, right about. So we're going to peel off our stuff. This could either be paper or plastic. So in this case, we've got some clear stuff. It comes in obviously different colours. So then we're going to sand it down. So big safety tip is don't shove a finger on a moving belt because that will hurt lots. Okay. So then we're going to pull out that. That's all I have to say. Do a quick clean up. Okay, so then we're going to now start shaping it. So you can do things like curve it, like that. So, or you can also do more direct shaping, like that. Or we can use the back wheel here, and then we can do some shaping. Then give this more of a curve. So once you're happy with the shape of your thing, then we're ready for bending.
Yeah, okay.
Okay guys, so in this demo we're going to put the bend on, so we're going to put our acrylic plastic on here. This is a strip heater, so in here is a hot element. So we don't put our finger down there because that kind of burns you. You can sort of gently touch the sides. I wouldn't recommend long touches, but you know, a short touch is okay. The first 5 centimeters at each end doesn't quite get hot enough, just the way the element works. So if anything from here to here is very good, and obviously you can put more than one on. So this will take about 5 minutes to heat up. And what happens, there'll be like a heat line running through here. When we've done that, we'll come back for part 2, and then we'll show you how to bend it and.
Yep, go.
Okay. Right, so we've taken the plastic off the thing here. So that's actually melting that, so it's actually nice and hard. Okay, cool. So then we're going to then blow on it and keep it cool. Once it drops below the temperature, it goes all nice and solid. Okay, cool. Then to line up our spoilers, we get our holes done. I'm just going to get a whiteboard marker or a vivid, and then just basically line it up so it's all nice and straight, and then we just simply dot it there. Okay, and that gives us our marks. Now then we're going to put in the little vise like this. Now When it cools down, the plastic is a little bit brittle, so don't squeeze it too hard, otherwise you'll break it. Then we're going to use a 6mm drill bit on a cordless drill. Now normally when you're drilling, you just drill straight through clockwise and you go through the work. We were finding though that sometimes near the ends it would sometimes crack and then it would break. So a little trick around it was we go forward most of the way, up to about there, just the tip of the drill bit, then we'll flick it into reverse and push our way through. This will melt its way through. Not as efficient, but it works much better, has a much higher chance of success. Okay, so we're going to do that. So drilling through, quick check. Okay, looks just about through, so I'm going to flick into reverse. Okay, and push our way through. So that's just melting and grinding its way through. Okay, then we're going to flip it over and then we're going to drill it on the other side there, okay? So then I've already done here 2 holes here. So then we're going to then put it on top there. And then that then makes our spoiler all done. Okay. Right, so we're going to drill a small second drive shaft motor here, okay, cool? So this is being put in a drill vise and like some little slots in here, and you want it in this outer one here. So we marked a 5 by 5mm centre. The piece of dowel is 1.5 centimetres long, and then we're going to drill it with a little 2mm drill nail. So then we're going to line it super carefully, because we want to make sure that everything is sitting dead straight. If it doesn't, you make another one. Otherwise, it won't work. It's pretty good. Put bubbles on. And drill it through, so we want to make sure it drills in straight from both ends. So now a little trick to get them in is you put them in like that, otherwise they can fall down there and you lose them. So you put it like that. So that one's drilled a little bit off, so it's gone straight. And I've done one here already, so it's gone through there like that, and it's coming out straight at the other end. Then we get our little triangle file which we've done earlier, and we'll do a little groove on. And then we get our motor, and then we just push that on like that, and that's ready then to be mounted up to our gearing.
One.
Okay, okay, right, so last step. So we've got to get all our stuff assembled, okay? So I've just taken off the spoiler so you can see what's going on. Okay. So we've got our rubber band through, like that, and then we're going to put it through like this, okay? Then we'll make sure that our arrow, in this case this one's going this way, so the arrow is facing the front of the car. Now when you're doing this, you need to make sure that there's enough tension on your rubber band. Okay, like so, okay? So we want it fairly high up here. Now we're going to use a hot glue gun, so make sure that you glue on the solid metal, not near the vents, because that will kind of wreck your motor. So we do that like that. So a pretty decent amount of glue. There we go, like so. Now be very fussy on making sure that your 2 grooves line up really, really well. Okay, so once you've got that done, you take that off there like that, and then we just let that dry. While that's drying, we can then glue our switch down, so we can put a bit of glue on the side there, and then we're going to put that down there. Get our wires out of the way. So, okay. Again, don't touch the hot glue because it will kind of burn you. Okay, let me just poke that down there, and that allows us to get our switch nice and easy. We can turn it on and off. Now there's a couple of ways we can mount up our battery. Just just doing a video for a second. So then we can either put a hot glue gun there and mount it like that, or we can then mount it on an angle like this here. Okay, so I'll show you the second one here. So then we're just going to do like that. Okay. Again, make sure we don't burn ourselves with the hot glue gun. And then we'll pop that down like that. So that will allow us to mount our battery like that. So in the alternate system, that sits me like that. Okay. So then that all done then. Then what we're going to do then is going to get some cardboard, which is 60mm by 130. Okay, this is a very simple one. You can go more complex. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue there, like that. And then we just stick that down like that. Let that dry. Put our spoiler back on, and then voila, we have our going car.